Peace and Black Power. It's your brother Knowledge Born Live. Do the Knowledge Radio. The place where knowledge is
Do
born.
Knowledge Radio.
This is 3K.
Think Tank.
This is 3K.
Hey.
This is 3K.
I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is ran, who ducked, who down, return fire. We're the warriors, the healers, enlighteners, enlighten us. I'm tired of the same old, that game old with an upgrade. I'm a sunbathe in the sun rays while my guns blazing, they complain. Level my level not attainable. My metal not malleable. I'm a man, didn't need that manual. Reparations is incalculable. Yeah, we want it in blood. Dead in the begging, head in the beheading. Metal to the meddling. Members is aggressive. Getting to the Armageddon. Karma, seem calmer when it comes to retribution. Caliber, catalyst in my clips and I use them on traitors and haters and the ones that spread confusion. Cause the devil's playground wasn't built for our amusement. Hey, hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days, you gon' need a strong counter. Spin like Beyblade. Impenetrable armor, Orient aura. This story, this saga get gory before it get calmer. Keep holding that revolutionary posture. 85 gon' dip and dodger, but when they get monster, they turn into MC Light, earrings, and become door knockers. I'm irate, they pirate the culture, send them to Davy Jones' locker. It's okay. Okay. Let them think that you lost it. Be patient, this type of thing you can't force it. Play possum, but nah, not know about the road. And they can't comprehend cause the language is coded. We plan ideas and we plan explosives. Make your pockets go for more bits or more bread. The portal done open, they can't close it. You ain't got a sideline, you could cause more risk. No set birth date, no Dorian Gray portrait. It's about to get ugly if these devils can't forfeit ancestral memories, so no, I won't forget. What we building is an impenetrable fortress for show. Every show is just like a courtship, and my flow for show tighter than your gal's corset. It's okay. Okay. We are the source, you can't outsource it. Even Spartans don't want no parts, Neff. What do you know? Before you know it, 3,000 wild Africans at your doorstep. Hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days, you gon' need a strong counter. Spin like Beyblade. No, we will not cower while the rest they play safe. We will move with God's power. This is not for play. Honor my ancestors, play the Orient. Day. Peace to you, loved ones, stay dangerous and stay safe. AKAs and AKs coming to make their caves cave. Wreck the race like take case, stay dangerous and stay safe.
Brothers just walk up on me, and they're just like, you know, you can just see the hunger in their eyes. Like as soon as you know what I mean? They was like, yo, you know, we a group, and we think that you would fuck with us, and you know, I'm telling you, like.
Pursuit of love, like I'm on high speed. You my drug, and I'm in need. Small things be above a flying in love. Held me up when I was down and falling in love. With you, it's only the truth. Process that I will do. Come between us, send them to the funeral. They should've known. True love don't break easy. We make it through. Everybody wanna be like his key wishes.
Peace, peace, peace.
Yo,
Listen, welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio. Place for knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge One a Lot. And we got one of these rare occasions, one of these rare sightings, okay? One of these rare opportunities to sit with one of my brothers, man. I love him dearly. I've seen him working in the trenches over the years, probably about 7 years now, making things happen, transforming every space that he's been in. Every space that he's been in. If it was straw there, he spun it into gold. You understand what I'm saying? He got one of those Midas touches. You see what I'm saying? And he does what he does. Honorable brother, honorable father, and a true example of a man. You understand what I'm saying? And so it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present to others, and get into the mastermind. Artist, producer, brother, king, ScoreYee, aka ScoreYee.
hey, yo, what's up? What's up? It's a pleasure to be here, of course, man. And you got me by surprise on that video. I didn't think you was gonna drop that one, man. I had a lot of fun, and that was like a big, Kickstarter catalyst for everything that I'm doing now. So
Okay.
it was cool to go back and see that. Yeah.
Okay. So I need to know the background, man. I need to know the story of, how this superhero character ScoreYee came to be. ScoreYee. You see what I'm saying? Take us back, man. Take us back,
man. So I think I wouldn't do any justice if I didn't give a shout out to my father. My step pops. He's the one that coined the term ScoreYee or Scory. When I was younger, my name is Corey, or my biological, my born name is Corey. So when I get competitive, and that's quite often, I turn into like a monster. But I'm not a monster like outside of the competitive edge. So, whether it be sports, whether it been academics, or whether it been like, I had to get down, there's a switch that is always turned on, and he called me Scory. Just because, obviously I was really competitive in like sports and basketball in that arena, and that's where he got to witness it. You know what I'm saying? And people just kind of taking advantage of me. Like I'm a decent person. I got a good heart, so to speak. That's what we say out here is, he got a good heart type stuff. But don't get it twisted. At the same time, and that's where that Scory come in at. And so I'm playing basketball, and my pop seeing people pushing me around. So I'm like, all right, this is how it goes. Okay, so I got, I did the same thing, and I dropped like 30, but I'm like, mind you, I'm like 6 or 7 at this time. And so yeah, it's been ever since then. He like, yeah, you definitely Scory, and then like I've always excelled, for real, whatever I pick up. So, but I forgot about the name Scory. So of course, I had to coin the term ScoreYee later in life because somebody already took Scory, but I've been that since 1995, 1996.
That's what that is. Our names have a way of coming back as a reminder that who we are and who we are becoming is tied to that one way, shape, or form. So,
of course,
I know you from many different arenas. Okay, many different arenas. So, what was it that gave you the producer bug? You see what I'm saying? How did you catch the ScoreYee ghost, so to speak, and begin on this producer journey? We get into the writing journey, we get into all the other journeys, but right here, I'm saying this heat we've been hearing, over the last couple of years. You understand what I'm saying? Like, what's the origin story for that?
For sure. I would say I've always been a fan of music. I won't say I've been musically inclined, it's taking some work, and we'll get to that point. But as of right now, I've always just had I really have a love for the new age sounds. Of course, just because of different arenas I've been in, I, of course, always wish that we had better content, that we were delivering, but it doesn't take away from the actual creative aspect of it. Like, I still enjoy the sounds that we hear today, and I want to be a part of that. But I've learned through music that, you like what you like. There's always going to be somebody that loves, the sound. As long as you're not making disharmonious sounds. You know, as long as you're making something that should be able to hit. And for real, if it's not hitting my soul, I'm probably gonna trash it. Just to be honest with you, I'm kind of that person, you know, that not a perfectionist, so to speak, but I definitely want to make sure that I'm not also even I don't want to waste nobody's time. Like, why am I gonna waste your time with just because you can put sounds together? Don't mean you put them together. You know, I want to put together some enjoyable vibes and all of that. So, Ehe's Hit Squad is a community I'm very part of, and just seeing, you know, a lot of our close, you know, comrades just get into the music space and see them, you know, relay music with our lives going on right now. It's like there's no excuse for me not to do something. If I enjoy it, if I want to do it, you know, there's no excuse to not be able to find time to get it done. And so I attribute a lot of my like motivation and just will to even try this. I didn't even want to, even when I was recording the song that you heard before, I made the beat. But prior to that, I was willing to go out on like a site like BeatStars and purchase a beat, you know, and I try to purchase beats from, you know, black producers and whatnot, but BeatStars is kind of hard to tell. They might not even have their face up there. So, you know, when I realized like, all right, I could probably do this myself, you know, I eventually just taken the dabble. And I think the biggest Kickstarter for me to actually produce and to learn about mixing and mastering, even learn the terminology, was when I went to a studio. And again, I'm trying to support one of our own. And I just didn't like how he was doing his business. He pretty much, you know, and I get it. Like, I just wasn't also as researched before going to a studio. Like, there's a lot of things that I should have probably found out beforehand, like just done more due diligence. I didn't know what the due diligence, you know, the requirements were. Like, what should I ask? What are intelligent questions to ask when you go to a studio so you're not looking like a fool? But I'm glad that I went through this, because I don't like anybody telling me I can't do something. And so at the end of the studio session, you know, about $500 in, 10 hours in, I had about 3 songs done, but they weren't radio ready. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, why, after all this work, why ain't you mix and master? He's like, well, that time that you was here was applied to the recording, not to the actual mixing and mastering. I'm like, what is mixing and mastering? That's where you get it radio ready, essentially. I'm like, all right. Well, just send me the files and I'll figure this out how to do it on my own. He kind of like chuckled and laughed at me, and that's what got me kind of angry. That's where like that ScoreYee switch came in, and like he pretty much said like, so you supposed to learn how to mix and master. I said, well, if you're not gonna do it, then I don't have a choice. Really, it wasn't even like a matter of, you know, trying to make him feel or belittle him in his profession or anything like that. I think if he was somebody, he should have just went ahead and let me know, like, hey, I could have done it for you, but you would have needed to reserve some time for that or whatever, you know. But the fact that he kind of laughed at me made it sound like I wouldn't be able to do it. I went ahead and took the initiative to learn, and the brother sent me, kid you not, 1,024. So when you recording, there's takes that you don't want to use, right? Like, you gonna scrap it because it just, maybe you messed up. I got allergies. I sneeze on some takes. You know what I'm saying? He sent me all of that, bro. He sent me everything to be an asshole, you know, to try to make this a difficult challenge to learn how to mix and master. So I had 1,000 files for one song. He sent me like 4,000 files total for the 3 songs that I did. I'm like, you know, overloaded my computer when I plugged it in, everything possible you could think of. And then, you know, in this process, I'm deleting the files. I'm trying to find every perfect take that I did. And I eventually had some usable takes. I'm like, all right, this is not good enough to release to the public or anything like that. But I learned a lot. You know, I learned how to make one file fit into a song, because, you know, every song is at a different speed and a different key or what have you, so a different scale. So I've had to learn how to, like, you know, change a WAV file to a different scale or key. I had to learn how to manipulate it to where it's at a different speed. And then throughout this, you know, that's where the history kind of began, just learning, you know, audio editing and all of that. And once I got to that point, I just never gave up the love. I found a love for it. So I'm grateful that that brother was who he was, you know, and just led me on a new adventure, for real. It was long-winded, but it was a lot of people, a lot of things that transpired to get me here. Yo.
You know, I ain't letting you get away with that long-winded word you said at the end, right? You know it. You know, I'm not letting you have that. I'm rejecting that right there.
Of course, man.
That's not a bucket. That's not a bucket. It's your journey. We are curating your journey, and this is, you know, artistry, and support of the artists and the authors. You know, this is what April is built for. It's built off, you know, the stories. So you take your time to curate your stories, and Brother Man did you a favor that you realize in hindsight that it was a favor. He wouldn't have took the time that you took because it wasn't his own thing.
Mhm.
So it was yours. So it was on you, right? So he wasn't going to give it the same credence and the same attentive ear, even though you might have thought it ain't turned out perfect. It was perfect for you on that journey because you was able to sift through all of these files. So now you know what it takes. Now you have an understanding of how you begin to build you from that process. Scattered in many pieces, right? 4,000 pieces for 3 songs. Somebody would have been like, you know what, F it. I guess that's not it. You dug all the way in and begin to put the pieces together. Begin to remember, right? Remember Osir,
Absolutely.
remember who you are. Put these pieces back together again, right? So he thought that was going to be a stumbling block or something to take you out, but that was something to activate you. He didn't know your story. He didn't know what you've been through. He didn't know who you were. You see what I'm saying? So that was the chuckle. The chuckle was like the audacity, and your response to it was like the audacity. You understand what I'm saying? So it was sword to sword.
Really.
But you uncovered and rediscovered something that's in your genetic coding, something that's in your ancestral story. In that instance, and so many other instances. You see what I'm saying? So, all right, that's
Exactly.
what it is. I appreciate that. So, ain't no long winded up in here. Okay, it's Godwin. Put that Godwin up in there, like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
saying tell that story. So you put these pieces together and you begin this journey, right? So let's continue on in the joint.
Of
So
course.
what's the next steps after you get it done? You know, where are you? You see what I'm saying? And then what's some other instances that you can think of on your journey that were defining moments? Like, yeah, this is it. This
Yeah.
is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give you one right now where I remember I gave you a call because I'm like, yo, I'm struggling with a song I recorded. I recorded on a software and my mic was cheap. You know, as I say to people all the time, I'm getting it out the mud, and so the recording quality wasn't there, and I was like, I got to either pay for this subscription to learn how to do audio, and I got to learn how to audio edit, like for real, like go into a file and clear out the feedback, the harshness, you know, to the clipping, you know, all of these different things that can happen when you're recording, like you hit a mic or something like that. Or if you speak too loud in the mic, you know, it makes a popping noise and things like that. So I'm like, I got one choice to either try to figure this out or, you know, pay some bread to somebody else. But for 20 a month, you know, they got this Adobe little kit, and you was pretty much like, why wouldn't you, you know, I know you, why wouldn't you learn this skill set? It's already in the audio world and you're already dealing with audio, you know, why wouldn't you figure it out? So I eventually, you know, went through, and it took days and days and hours and hours. I don't know how many hours I put into this audio software. Matter of fact, I put so much time into it after that project, I probably didn't pick it back up. Not even gonna lie to you. But I definitely put some time into this project, and I learned, you know, how to read not only waveforms, but they got like a waveform that has, it's just a color, it's colors. It's not like the actual, you know, you might see a waveform look like this, or, you know, the sign, and um saw different waveforms in music. But anyway, I learned how to find harshness and you know, frequencies that you don't want in your track, and how to like erase it and scrub it is the terms that they were using. And while it took a long time, I was able to at least produce a track. And this is early in my career. I was able to at least produce a track that it was listenable. I wouldn't say like, the radios and everything would take it on, but I again gained a skill set, and all of those terms and things that I used or learned at that time has helped me out from making beats, because making beats, you got to stand out. So learning how to get rid of harsh sounds, because some sounds are not always appealing to everybody. You got to learn how to get rid of the high end and the low end and certain sounds, so if things don't mesh or sound muddy. This was all just little seeds been sprinkled onto me, because I'm telling you, there's really no end to this. Like, that's the thing I love about music. So, but that was one of the first things that stood out to me, was just, learning the audio editing and getting that skill set under me. Because now, again, even though I don't really use that particular software, there's still always some kind of audio editing software within any program you're going to use. Like, you're going to have to be able to manipulate files. And so I'm pretty gifted in that. I would say again, he's Hit Squad is probably another catalyst in my journey, because I eventually became involved with like I got like a writer's credit, just kind of been involved listening to them speak and speak on like just the writing process of music. So producing, I've I'll do that day in and day out. And there's a lot of things I can get into on that, but I'll say he's His Squad, and just kind of listening to them and seeing again, they do different genre than I'm familiar with, like completely different genre. I'm not really into your traditional R&B, anything that's hitting the soul in that way. I'm really into like hip hop and trap, but they're probably some of my biggest influences, like just the quality of the music, the real instruments, or the real like sounds that they're using, voiding of the algorithm. They're making music that's good for the soul. So I wouldn't be a part of that, like, at the end of the day. Yeah.
Sound is an interruption of the flow of air. That air is in a flow. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And if you can see it or hear it, you're in trouble. So that air that's flowing, right? That air that's flowing, in your body, that's giving you life, that's animating your being. You found a way to interrupt it and manipulate it alchemically, so the world can hear what sound sounds like when you produce sound. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you put your hands together and do that, that's the air coming together and conjoining on your palms. So you taking that and turned it into something that's alchemical. You took it from its original state and manipulated it in a way that's palatable to the ear. They can see. You made it possible for people to see with their ears and feel with their eyes, like you take them in a place.
Straight up.
So think about that. That's a journey right there. That's a story. You see what I'm saying? That's a story of how our ancients were able to manipulate sound in that way with the spoken word, to tell a story with the written word, to tell a story with the drum.
Yeah.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So this is
that sparked
an amazing journey right here. You see what I'm saying? So when you begin to compose or produce, you're telling a story. each one of those sounds, each one of these things you put together, everything that you hear, everything that you push, all of those has a story. So I just wanted you to be mindful of what this creation process is. Like, I know we look at the finished product, we got children, we look at our children in that way. But there was a process from the beginning. There was an intent. And there's a story that goes all the way through that process from, you know, conception to inception. So as to what you do and what you produce in regards to sound. So now that's you as a producer. How far back do you go as a writer? Let's go.
Quite
Let's
some
go.
time. I mean,
Okay.
I probably have at least 20. I probably got about 10 of them to this date, but I probably had about 20 notebooks that were almost filled up growing up, filled with raps. I started out writing raps probably about fourth grade. I remember I was in Seattle at the time. I wasn't here. I just remember the guys that was clowning me. They found one of my rap books, and it was a little funny little. I'll never forget the mug. It was something like, "Oh yeah, don't forget to tie your shoelace" or something. And the whole town was just on my head about that, man. So, but and like it never stopped me from writing raps or anything like that. And I read in the and some lyrics just the other day, somebody talking about tying shoelaces. I'm like, you know what? It wasn't that bad for a fourth grader, But yeah, and I remember, even my mom, she'll vouch for me. But I used to have this rap like about man, what's that song? T.I. got a song. I cannot think of the name of it right now. Like I'll probably have to get back at you on that one. But yeah, my mom, she knows, like, I wrote a song and it sounded just like the words of T.I. song that he had. And I'm like, man, I know it wasn't me, but just to kind of give you an idea of how long I've been writing. But I think as far as most recently, and when I took it to another level or took it to a level of seriousness was after, I joined an organization called Henna and Sue, for those that are not familiar with it. But I've been able to really develop a spiritual side of my being, and I progress at, I feel like, exponential level since I've been a part of the organization and family. So with that knowledge, and then just also me just going into being a man and everything like that, like I feel like that sets a different level of being able to write. When I was outside of when I was like a young knucklehead, writing and about just things that doesn't really matter, doesn't have a lot of value, what have you. So I would say probably in the last 3 to 4 years, I took the writing to another level. And my biggest, I guess, theme of what really I wanted to speak on was motivation, whether it was spiritual, whether it was just developing a certain level of intelligence out here, whether it been just the drive with work or with your career, with your passions, like my goal, and really me being a very reserved individual growing up, me making a EP, 2 EPs. One was mostly based on the Black Power movement, like just being confident who I am and letting everybody know that one of my most prized songs, one of the songs I love is Black is Better. It was the first song I ever really recorded and released out, for one. And then it was also a song that I really had in mind. I wanted to create something like that for a very long time, even before I was along the path that I'm on now. But my goal is to make sure that you wake up and you're happy with who you are. And not to say that I didn't believe that growing up. I just maybe believe it a different way. And I know that there's a way that, like, we can really instill in everybody, like, you can really do this. Like, whatever it is that you have in mind to, you can do this. From me doing this music stuff, I was always known as a brother with no rhythm growing up. Like, but I'm in the music. I have a passion for music right now, and I'm not going to let nobody tell me that same stuff going forward. So even when it comes to the fields that I've been in, just career wise, like I know everything that I've ever succeeded in was a struggle in the beginning. It was a struggle most of the time. Reading, you know, a lot of us probably can read uh, and comprehend it pretty well, but I felt like it would take me a while to really understand what I'm reading, but that's okay. I don't know how long somebody, you know, how long my friends at school was doing their homework, but I know if it took me 3 hours to do my homework and I got an A on it, that's all that matters, like what the result was. But I put the work in for it. And so to this day, you know, the music that I put out there was to let you know, no matter what you do, you can do it. And it was kind of my story to speak on overcoming, you know, being timid, so to speak. And, you know, I used to speak, I don't even like saying I was timid anymore. I just kind of like to remove these words from my vocabulary. But I still felt like that was a perfect way to, you know, I could put it in a book, but I'm not speaking it. I need to let people know that I'm speaking for me and I'm speaking for other people too, you know. So yeah, if I can write about motivation, I could probably do it all day, every day. And that's what it is.
That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about right
Yeah.
there. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying right there? You know. Yeah, you are a source of motivation and inspiration. You see what I'm saying? Transformative. You know, you
Absolutely.
bring the best out of people. You know what I'm saying? Bring the best out of people.
We all should, man. We all should. But yeah.
It's your assignment, though. It's one of your assignments. You got a few of them. That's one of them. To bring the best out of people. You see what I'm saying? So,
You already know.
it's it ain't an easy task all the time, you know, because folks don't see themselves. So oftentimes you
Right.
can see more in folks than they see in themselves. And
Yeah.
they gotta get to it. You see what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
gotta get to it.
You get it. You get it. That was the purpose of my second EP, was just for the people that don't have nobody in their ear, letting them know that they great. But bro, you really great. You know, girl, you got it going on, you know.
What's it? Yeah.
I'm gonna just throw out here too, throughout that whole writing process, I didn't cuss except for in the one song that you played in the beginning.
Mhm.
That was the only song I cussed on out of the whole EP, out of like 10 songs. I said, damn, you know, something like that. So, you know, like I felt like that in itself it was a nice feat to accomplish. It's not challenging to write without cursing though. That's not something that I naturally will be. That's not how I just write my music. But of course, when you listen to music, that is relevant, it's prevalent everywhere. So
Mhm. Yeah, I appreciate you, you know, bridging the gap between generations because sounds different to everybody's ear. So you're making it palatable from one generation to the next because,
straight up.
you know, you right in between. You see what I'm saying? You right in between. And, you know, the young people that have their own sound. You see what I'm saying? They have their own sound. Like when we were young, we had our own sound. You know, so some of us become like our parents and their parents. Their parents didn't like their music. Our parents didn't like our music. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
now we're looking at our, you know, children's music and grandchildren's music in some case, and we don't like it. That's their sound. It's indicative of their language and how they speak and how they actualize before the world. So
Exactly.
you don't go to somebody's culture and say, I don't like your language.
Right.
So why would you do that to the young people? You see what I'm saying? Why would you do that to your young people? Because it's your young people that are out here. So in order to connect with them, you have to speak their language. If they don't hear their language or their sound, they're like, man, what is this? No different than if I was speaking Chinese to somebody who's Japanese. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm Japanese. But if they hear you make an attempt to try to speak some Japanese, they're gonna help you out because you took the time to want to learn their language instead of rejecting it.
Right.
So, you know, you're bridging the gap generationally because of the musical influences that you're around and the people that you're around and the position that you put yourself in to be coachable and teachable. So now you have access in the space where some folks don't have access because they reject it indiscriminate to the age. So that's one of the ways how you live your life in the same instance. You live your life in that space because you open to see what's going on. You see what I'm saying? And you had that work ethic ever since. You came out the womb on the hustle.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
no matter how long it took, you was gonna make it happen. So some folks read things quickly and don't get nothing from it. So because you took that time and you dedicated that time ever since, whatever challenge or task comes your way, you're gonna take your time with it. And when you get done with it, you've been unmastered it. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, it is what it is. It takes time, it takes dedication, it takes an obsession. You see what I'm saying? It takes an obsession.
It really do.
So you're definitely doing what you need to do. So this is your writing space, recording space, production space, and you touched on this spiritual space. So let's talk about this journey of ScoreYee RBG. You understand what I'm saying? ScoreYee
Word,
RBG.
word, word.
Let's
Yeah,
get
hey,
to
it's
it.
funny you say it like that because I mean, even my first musical, at least in the last, like, let's say decade, the last real musical uh opportunities I've had were start off from like some brothers that I kind of became acquainted with through RBG and KC. But um just dating back to my pops has always been, really in the movement, in a sense, right? So he's always sprinkled knowledge on me. I've always been this way. Like I've always had a love for my people that, regardless of what people will try to tell me, I love everybody and all that. I'm still have a certain amount of love for my people that you're not gonna take away. You can't change my mind, and I'm always gonna vouch for my people. Even if shit. I'm not gonna say even if we're wrong, but I would still much rather, take our people's side than majority of the encounters that happen in this world. So, with that being said, I eventually teamed up with some local KC people. Actually, I just by grace of the way that the universe worked, I ended up having to work with the brother. So I ain't never even spoke to him at work, but happened to see him at a meeting because we both just happened to join this like local KC event where blacks are going Black Minds. I think it was like Black Think Tank or something like that. But we all got together and I'm like, hey, yo, we worked together. We ended up introducing ourselves then, LinkedIn, and then we started a KC RBG chapter. Can't say that it really went into full effect, but I gained a lot of close comrades, through that process. And they introduced me to RBG music. So I've always been hip to music, I've always loved music, but I was never aware of real, so to speak, conscious like rappers out there or people who are going to speak, you know, some fire in our people. It's one thing to say you're gonna knock down your brother, but when we talking about knocking down our ops, like our real ops, that woke me up. That just blew my mind. I think the first song I heard was from like Supreme Ride, like I Stick 'em or something like that. And then I heard Big Said, Tahir RBG, and Zayn Malik. Uh talk I can't remember. It was like 2017 when I'm assuming somewhere around there. Matter of fact, about 2016 when I first heard it. Ain't Talking About Nothing. I think that's the name of the song. But these songs blew my mind because it's like they're using modern, sounds, but they're using like a rhetoric of real people, real men that I would like to be around versus like these cats who are just living their lives. Like I ain't saying they low lives, but they're not living their lives to a certain level and standard that I would like to. And so that was the first time I came across it. And then I'm like, all right. And eventually picked up on a lot more artists since then and I fell in love with them, from Black Fatherhood Community, Plant Seeds. I mean, that was like one of my top songs when the year that came out. Like I remember in the year I looked at the stats on it. Plant Seeds, you know, I still hear that stuff in my head. That was a cold song. And all of that. I mean, that just tells me like, all right, we can make great music without having to, you know, tear ourselves down, you know, or tear our brothers down, our fellow brothers down, sisters down at that. Like you can make some real good music that I would listen to all day, every day, and it's not poison to the mind. So that was probably a big step of it. And that's another reason why, you know, I'm doing what I do now, because I want to make great sounds, and you know, hopefully I can connect with these like-minded individuals and we make great music and change the mindset that people got now. Like all music is all like the mainstream music is terrible. It's just really just like, yeah, that's the mainstream music. They put that out, but that's not all that's out there. That's not all that's possible. And that's not all that we're capable of doing. So, but yeah.
Definitely RBG certified. Okay.
Almost there.
So, what about this beautiful place that you found on your path, your spiritual journey? This family organization, this tribe, this nation, Pending
Yeah,
Sioux.
too. So without even, just because I've heard this isn't exactly accurate, but just long story short, somehow or another, the RBG KC party got connected with good brother Nasuwang Banu, and from there it's been history. You know, as a matter of fact, I'll just say, like, I'll just be straight up blunt. You know, where I'm at, I've always been kind of. It seems like I've always been a little bit more advanced than a lot of people I've been around. So when I met Uncle Banu, you know, it kind of just changed my mind. Like, this is a sharp brother. I've rarely come across people who can speak on the things that he's able to speak on at the level that he's able to speak on them. And because of that, I'm going to give him his respect, because I'm an intelligent brother myself, and I'm going to be able to see, I'm going to be able to weed out these ill, you know, these people with ill intentions, you know, and I've always been blessed to come into the right hands. So man never approached me in a way like we need to do business or anything like that. He just simply gave me a reading, and did let me know that he was an author. So I took on my own to go ahead and like purchase his book. And from there, after reading it, actually before I even began to read it, he dropped me a message like on Facebook Messenger or something and said, "Hey, if you have any questions about the book, feel free to reach me or contact me." I've never had an author in my life tell me that, and he just gained all the respect once he said that. And I did come, you know, with some questions over time, and eventually I wanted to see if he had like a community or people that he would work closely with, because I would like to be, you know, aligned with people with very similar, you know, thinking. And so he let me know about the great community of Sioux. And in about 2015, that's where I finished the book in 2015. My son was 6 months. My oldest son was 6 months at the time, and I just never forget like reading him the book every night. You know, when I'm giving him his bath, I'm reading the book as we giving him a bath, and I'm like, I got to be a part of this community. So I checked out Kook Kim Radio and just absorbed all this information. Like, yeah, I was always into, you know, some of our Black greats, but I wasn't really into the spiritual side of things. So this was just another avenue I needed to take. I felt that it was right at the time, and without a doubt, like, you know, have no regrets with spending. I've been absorbed in this community for the last since 2015. That's like 8 years. You know, time flies, and the COVID really kind of changed things up, but um, that's been my family. Everybody I've learned, you know, in the community, everybody I've met, they've all. As a matter of fact, I was even assigned a creative project from Sinedu Meme and Sin Simonaki some time ago, probably in 2018. they had me, they wanted me to do some creative work. And that was the first time I even decided to do anything in an artistic standpoint. So I took on that project. I probably won't take on that kind of like actually doing real artwork, again. But I mean, a lot of things was sparked within Hen and Sue. So I've been on this path ever since. It won't change. Once you learn certain things and you go down a certain path, there's no point in ever going back to like an ignorant way of living. So not to say that, you're ignorant, but I'm aware, I'm knowledgeable about how I should be. So
if you was to gauge yourself from when you first started on this path, where Hanin to now, what would you say about yourself? Like, what were some defining moments or takeaways from your journey so far?
Sure. I think we always found a way to at least get me out of my comfort zone, for one. It wasn't just like my comfort zone. It might have been other people's, but I'm speaking for myself. Whether it been, I remember one of the first meetings I had with Hen and Sue, we was singing. I was like, oh my, I don't be singing, So I had, and they wanted me to participate. So that was real interesting for me. And but I knew at this point in time, if I'm about to get down with them, you either go 100%. I would never want nobody to even be around me if they're not gonna give 100%. Like, either you with it or you not. But don't be like halfway in and halfway out. So so there was that. And then of course, Ben crowned my name, Iriab, which means he acts with courage, and even getting my first reading with Hen and Sue. All of these things were just, again, sparks, seeds of just been dropped on me to develop who I am now. And even the will to want to be a better man, I ended up taking like martial arts classes. I ended up taking a leadership class and getting involved locally, like mentoring. Wasn't like I'm not going to take the credit of the actual people who've been involved with the mentor sessions day in and day out, coming up with the curriculum. But I was like the only parent showing up anyway. So I was like, hey, I might as well get involved and help out the brother that I see that's doing his work. So it was great but a lot of this is attributed to Hen and Sue making sure that I'm gonna be a man. Like, we understand our roles in this world. So I took the initiative to join National Black United Front Kansas City for a while. And I got to do the mentoring sessions and spend time with children. I mean, it never ends with Hen and Sue, So got to meet a lot of people. I'm involved locally, not just like virtually in that capacity. I think it's very important that you are involved at the local level as well. Y'all not gonna let nobody just sit around and like not do that. We're not gonna let nobody sit around. And let me say that, like, we're not, Hen and Sue, if you're gonna be about something, if you're gonna be a part of an organization and speak on us or anything like that, you need to be about your stuff,
Let's play one of these joints real quick. Let's see.
Word.
I'm gonna fire.
Let ScoreYee tell this story.
Let's
with
talk
all the
about it, man. Let's
surprises,
talk
boy.
about it, man. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. Okay.
Yo, that beat. I'm glad you posted that beat though, and I'm glad that Vanu commented something about the 808s because I remember he said something to me, and I even called him back and told him like a couple months later. I said, "You said something to me that really messed me up, man." He told me, he was like, "Hey, so I did some collaborations on some beats, right?" And I posted it on Facebook one time, and he was like, "Yeah, did you do those first two beats?" I was like, nah. I did the sounds, but somebody did the drums. He's like, okay. He said, I was gonna tell you that they they hitting a little harder than your drums, man. So I said, okay, I gotta go back to the drawing board. Let me figure out how to make my drums hit. And so I mean, I've been at it for days. There's apparently some sauce out there that is not really just available. Like they're not just gonna tell you how to make your 808s, your drums, your bass hit and smash like that. But yeah, again, that goes back to like when that engineer or what have you originally at the studio told me like he wasn't really sure of my abilities. Not to say that Nasu would ever say something like that. I was just glad that Nasu pointed out, hey, it's not sounding like how maybe the industry level, these types of beats would be sounding hitting. And he was like, maybe you need to look into like compression and EQ and all these other, things when it comes to mixing and mastering. So that took me down a whole different rabbit hole. And I'm still learning that stuff. Every song is different. So it's not always the same rules that apply, but I'm finally getting to the point where I'm able to make my drums sound. Matter of fact, just drums in general was always probably my biggest adversity with music. Because again, I was a brother with no rhythm. I can make sounds all day. You can put that on an actual like, if you're looking at a grid, that stuff could be on grid. But drums, especially if you want something that's unique and something that's gonna make people, it's gonna be captivating. That was a different level of like challenges for me. Even to this day, sometimes I come across some stuff. But the biggest part about that video is it was a type beat. And one thing about me is throughout this entire time trying to be anti-algorithm myself, I was really against making a beat. They call it a type beat, like a NBA Youngboy type beat or Kodak Black type beat or whoever. I was really against making it. But I had a conversation. I'm always willing to have a conversation and be able to hear it. Don't mean I'm gonna have to run with it, but I'm gonna be receptive. And one of my cousins straight up told me, he was like locked up, for years. But he said when he got out, he's listening to my Facebook. He was like, your beats is cool, but you should really make beats like for an artist. And I really just was against it, like in my heart, my soul. Like I really want it to be vice versa. Like I want an artist to, also work with me on my, or not work with me on my beats, but like, I like your beats. Let me hop on this and go with that wave. But sometimes you have to learn that with music, there needs, like as you mentioned earlier, there's a space, and the beauty in the music is the space, the room to breathe, the room to have a transition, to the room for an artist to speak. Because the art, the mouth is an instrument. So that's where I started learning, like, all right, maybe I should be open-minded, start listening to more of the beats that's on the radio. So that song that just came out, or that beat that I just released or that you played, was actually for a song that just came out. It ain't been out a week. I just dropped that beat. I made the beat. I listened to that song. I love the song for real, the original song. And I basically just made my version of it. And so I dropped it like within hours of the dude dropping the YouTube video. And I'm like, okay, I done found out that it took me a while to be able to do this. It ain't like I haven't tried. I've been trying to do type beats. It's been a challenge, but I figured out like something just sparked for me overnight type stuff. And so now I've been just slinging these type beats because I'm finding the songs that I love and enjoy. Like I had to find, that's probably what it was. Like I can't just do a type beat for a song I don't like. I gotta be motivated and have some enjoyment behind it too. So I started just going into finding all the more modern songs I've listened to over the last 2-3 years that I really love the beat on. And so I've been just kind of going back and remaking them, and I can already see the attention that it's also bringing in, but also just like I'm leveling up. And I was telling you before, like once you learn something, for me personally, when I learn something, especially with something I'm loving, it's going to open up a new avenue, really a new web for me to start just diving into, and getting lost into and enjoying. And maybe I'll come back to some other stuff I've been working on. But as of right now, and plus I've had a lot of artists more so recently just hit me up because they our people, they love to get their beats off of YouTube and still beats off of YouTube. So they're like, hey, instead of me doing that, let me send you this beat, and if you can make something similar to it, I appreciate that. So I've been doing that for the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks, after getting this little buzz. So, and they've been liking it. I've been making some boom bap beats. I made my first boom bap beats in the last like 3 weeks or so, or last month. That was new for me.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. Okay. Okay, I heard it.
Yeah.
You know, I tagged some of my, some of my fam.
Yeah.
Who be boom bapish. Okay. So yeah.
Right. And I appreciated that for real.
Not no bums though, I'm bums.
Yeah.
I don't know that this affinity we be having to the bum music and bum beef, but anyway.
They be out there though, so I feel it.
As a man and as a father, you spoke about Peninsula as an organization, what it's done for you. This living tradition that you involved in, how has it enhanced your relationship with your family, with your children, this living tradition that you were part of? And everything that you were part of, so to speak.
Yeah. This is a family tradition. And I think everything I've mentioned earlier, almost everything that I kind of go to or come across, it's going to be, I feel like I'm going to make an intelligent decision. I'm going to be very intentional with what I decide to do next. And so me being a part of that Hidden Into community, I decided to go at it 100%. And a lot of that was due to the fact that it's like a family tradition. And I've been on this journey trying to find family. One of the things that we were assigned to do in the Hidden Into community was to do some research on our family. I've been fortunate enough to do that. I've been able to trace my family back to like 1860, excuse me, 1860. So several generations back, I've been able to prove some people wrong within the family. And again, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but if I figure something out and I'm cross-referencing sources and I've done my due diligence, my research on it, I know what I'm talking about, I'm speaking on. And so before I even present that information to anybody, I want to make sure I was right and valid in it. And I even ended up having conversations I ended up taking a ancestry DNA test, and that ended up like really solidifying some of the research that I had found on the family tree. I've been even getting acclimated with my local family more than I ever have before. So I think a lot of this, again, just kind of stems from the values of Hidden Into. We definitely believe in family. We believe in our roles, as I spoke on earlier. So there's certain things that as a father, I'm going to always make sure that I'm going to be able to do for my children. I've also developed myself as a man. I've spoken before, I've always been just real laid back, but I had to realize that that's not always, you can't just always live life one way. Sometimes you're called on to do different things and be a different person at different times. And I actually meant to kind of touch on it earlier, but I ended up taking like a leadership class. And I think that was a big help in me just kind of stepping out my comfort zone, speaking up, like the way that I even speak now in this interview. Everything is like, I used to be so calm. I probably have been like just talking like this, 2 years ago or something. So like just every defining moment of Hidden Into has grafted me into the man that I need to be to handle what I need to, even with us not really been as communicative as we had been. Like when I was first in Hidden Into, we was meeting 5 days a week, we had a class every day just about. And so even with us not being as involved, all of the things that I've learned and been able to take on is made me much a better person. And then I'm still, I still got a good heart, so it's like I feel like I can't be broken anymore. I'm always in a good mood for the most part. And I think a lot of that has to do with just knowing who I am, really.
Now, what about your children growing in this tradition?
With my children growing in this tradition, I mean, as of right now, I would say it's a little tough to tell with them being so young, of course. But um, when you are doing things right, they're gonna. I can already see it in my children. They got their father's heart for sure. You know, and that's all that matters to me is that they're gonna end up doing what they need to do and be where they need to be. I got a community, I got a family, the Hidden Sioux family that has given me guidance, being a father, single father, especially at that sometimes, like, maybe I don't want the advice from my parents or from other family members. Sometimes the Hidden Sioux family has given me really good um, takeaways for me to be a better father. And sometimes it's just like, I could do this on my own, but to have that community and to be able to like express at times challenges that I'm having or whatever, I've always had an ear to somebody to listen to me for sure. My children are going to be all right for sure.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. I asked Nasu about, this living tradition and, going through the challenges and the twists and the turns of the pessimistic invalidators, so to speak, out there. And you are one of the many families that are living in this tradition, growing in this tradition, immersed in the culture from a cultural aspect, not as an observer, as an
Right.
active participant, you know. So, what kind of value and benefit would you say this culture as a participant has provided you with?
I'm gonna go along the lines of discipline. Um, for all kinds of reasons as far as discipline goes. I mean, from being dedicated to um, upkeeping with the shrines, from being even from learning the language. A lot of people don't know, but we practice speaking in Medu Neter and writing in Medu Neter, and we have classes and things like that. So, I mean, there was a great deal of time that I put into it, and I'm glad a lot of the information is retained for sure. But um, that took some work, and I remember when I had to teach. Woo, I was probably telling everybody, I don't know if y'all want me to do this, like, but you don't know what you're capable of, I guess, sometimes until you put in that position. And like I said, my name is Area from Ketuwib. He acts with courage, so it's like I'm going to knock out a challenge, whether I'm up. I know I'm up for it fully and confidently or not. Like I'm still going to go after it and give it my best. Because again, I'm not going to do something halfway in, and so I feel like I went hard with those courses, and I actually was able to teach, in the absence of Seibai Taiji at the time, which, again, so discipline, and then like I said, from the shrines to just also, being at the Wabu priest level, just like there are things we're still ridding ourselves of, and making sure that we're ready for the next level. Um, I always keep in mind who I am, who I represent. And so I would say discipline is probably one of the biggest takeaways that I've gotten out of this for sure. Like I just refuse to live the way of life that maybe I was on before or that is easily, attainable. Like you could easily go out and just live reckless. But I'm not gonna do that here.
Okay. Let's play one more joint and then we could go back and get into this entrepreneurial, ScoreYee the hustler space. You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
Before we get up out of here. Let's give him one more type beat. Okay, let's give him one more type
All right.
beat. Okay.
Let ScoreYee tell the story.
Man. Appreciate that.
Tell us about this beat right here, okay?
So
I
It
almost
says-
knocked my table over. You understand? I was like, hold on, this table right here.
yo.
It's ready.
Man, it's funny how everything kind of happened because I remember a while ago you asked me to do a little survey and about podcasts we watch, and I realized, wow, I really don't watch podcasts. I thought I was, but I wasn't really watching podcasts. And so they got that All Jumper show on a music podcast, and I don't really watch it, but I happen to watch it because they had this artist. They say he was an underground artist, so I just happened to watch. His name is Jace, and he dropped a song just like I said in the last week. Like I said, I've been cranking these tight beats, so he dropped a song, and I was like, let me go ahead and I got a team of people that I kind of work with too, and they was looking for some Jace type beats. So I said, let me go ahead and get this a whirl and knock that mug out in like 2 hours too, and I felt like it went real well with like if you hear his actual song, I feel like it went real well with it for sure. But that was definitely a unique type of beat, different speed, different, just different parts behind it that I would normally not do. So, that's the thing about these type beats in general that I'm producing right now is like I'm producing beats that I wouldn't normally do, but I'm learning things to apply to the music that I love to make as well. So just timing, cadence, sounds, every artist, they got this whole thing where they say artists sound alike, but I really feel like it's always kind of been that way. When I listen to boom bap, I can't really, me personally, I can't really say that they are so distinguishable from each other that in a modern day, like how the argument is with these artists all kind of sound like, I feel like it's like that when it comes to music. Like, West Coast music kind of sounds like West Coast music, New York music sounds like New York music. You can usually kind of pick up on that with your ears. So it's just respect for sure for me. I don't really bicker about that. I just respect it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm glad your ears are tuned like that. Some folks might disagree with you. You
I
you
know,
see what
I
I'm
know,
saying? Am I-
I know, I know. I had thought
But
about
it's
how I was saying
subjective. But
it.
it's all good. It's all good. It's subjective because that's your ear. That's your ear and that's your vantage point. So when you remove nostalgia and loyalty and regional aspirations, you remove all of that and you just look at it with no connection to it. You say, okay, what's distinguishable about the sound, not
Mhm.
everything else that everybody else is saying. How could you say that? I'm saying this is this and this is that. No, people get into all of that because that's interpreted. They're not listening to the sound. They're not listening to it from a sound perspective. Like there's signature. Okay, yeah, that's West Coast. All of that's West Coast. All right, this is Midwest. This is this sound. This is this sound. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, too.
Devoid of everything else that came along with it. Yeah, that's a beautiful assessment. So
It
let's
is.
talk
It's all
about
a learning
Score
process.
Yeezy, Score Yeezy the hustler, Score Yeezy the entrepreneur, Score Yeezy's journey, finding his way in life, navigating, regardless to whatever the obstacles and the challenges were.
Man, I'll start out when I was like 7 years. No, let me even go back before that. When I was in elementary school, probably like 6 or 7 years old, I'll never forget. My grandma came to the school. I put out the little notebooks that was like that fit in your hand back in the day. The little notebooks had a little list of people that owe me lunch money, and my grandma was she was
Huh?
shocked. She's appalled, and but that's kind of always been me, So there was that when we moved to Portland, Oregon, and I remember like building or making a whole bunch of paper airplanes, trying to go outside, sell them for a quarter. Mind you, this is like '96, so I've always had this mindset that I wanted to like make money, regardless of really, I didn't know what area or industry or anything like that, but I was always about trying to go out and sell and make money. For one, my father has been a salesman, and watching him my entire life, just working long hours, going out and getting it and making it, whether we had to like start over or whatever. Like I know the one thing he was able to do was like go and get a sales job and then like that and make some money. So that's always been an influence for me. And then uh, I would say I probably didn't take anything else entrepreneurial sales likewise outside of them early years until I got older. But even at my job, I used to have this little nickname, Stucky the Bookie. My last name was Stucky, so they used to call me Stucky the Bookie. When I first gigs, I always be like about my inventory and about my stuff. Like if I loan out a pen at work, I want that pen back. You know what I'm saying, or something. So um, I started selling. I sold everything, man. I sold skincare products. I've tried every like MLM pyramid scheme that you could think of: Primerica, Secret, World Ventures, um, Amway. I done tried them all. Like I've always been involved. I always been like interested in just for the most part using my mouthpiece to make money. But like I feel like as well as a community, as a network, like if we all support in some of these endeavors, hell, it'll make it easier on the next person, and then we could keep doing this until where we all are relieved from the extra work that we are doing to live check to check type stuff. So I've always been entrepreneurial spirited, and I eventually sold like baby clothes. I like invested in some baby clothes. Learned the hard way, it's real tough to sell baby clothes because like you could get them for $2 at Walmart and people are just going to be looking at you like, I mean, I appreciate what you're doing, but I get the little 3-piece set for $6 at Walmart. You know what I mean? That come with a receipt, and good customer. I ain't gonna say good customer service, but come with some level of customer service. So I used to try to flip them at the flea market, but this was before I was me. If I was me now trying to sell the stuff, I'd be a little bit more aggressive. I'd be really out there selling it. But back then I was, reserved, and so I didn't probably I wasn't as successful as I would hope. But I eventually got into sales, which is another pretty entrepreneurial, spirited occupation. And I mean, I went through my trials and tribulations with sales for sure. Been again a pretty reserved individual, learning how people work or communicate. learning just their emotions with all this. Like people just be so funny acting when it comes to sales, and it's a conversation. Like, I mean, right now I'm, or for the years I was selling insurance. I mean, to be fair with you, we need insurance, whether it's like by law because it's the car insurance, or whether you got a house, or whether it's your life. And I mean, it's the selfish act of transitioning and then leaving everything as a burden to your family. Like we could probably invest some money while we're alive and help out with that. But just that whole conversation, having with people things, and just really understanding like where their minds are at, it's all been a learning experience for me. And I think if anything has helped me be just a lot more communicative of a person on a regular basis, not just like in a job field and things like that. So with all of that being said, with music, it's definitely a different ball game, because it's a lot of things is just like strictly digital. It ain't real. At least when you're online, the conversations, it ain't really like people gonna have genuine conversations with you about your beats and the production, and people don't know my story. Hopefully after this, they'll be like, all right, I know. Like I didn't even tell people, but like when I started making beats, I spend 2 to 3 hours a night making beats as a full-time father. I'm finding the time to make beats. I'm finding the time to perfect my skills, my craft. And I think if people see where I started, like if you see my first beats, it probably sound like pew, 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 pew. No, I'm just playing, it ain't that bad, like some Atari or something. But I've learned so much, like, and gained so much skills, and have developed into a point where now, like, I really think I can just make beats for people. I think people will have a great appreciation for my craft. So when I appreciate, of course, being on here, but just that genuine conversation when it comes to music, it's not the same unless I meet somebody on a local level for real. Like the local level conversations I have about my music, it'd be a lot more entertaining. It'd be a little bit more fun, because it's like when I might, either I knew the person, I knew they rap, I've heard them rap, so it'd be great to see about getting them on one of my tracks. But as far as the whole national, or just trying to get my beats out there in this world, I ain't never been a real social media kind of guy, content creating kind of guy. This is the first time I've really showed my face. Hell, this is probably the most I've ever said to the world, and so it's like I do got to find a way to get my name out there and to start networking with people. But I've also been fortunate. Like I work, like I said, I got a good heart, right? So like, the connections that I have are very solid. I got works in the art, or works in the progress with, people who got records on Billboard charts. It's an amazing thing. It's real slow, because they're not like me. After this, I'm gonna probably go do something with my children, and I'm going to end up making some beats tonight. But I can't expect, as much as I've been doing this, I have not seen anybody on the artist side of things that are as, besides Nasu. I'm new. Like I'm not seeing artists crank out music. That's the only man I've seen crank out more music than me. Since I've been picking this up, and I feel like that is a disservice to the industry. What is going on? Because I know for a fact that, like, if you had a real love for this, you would be cranking music out and not making excuses. That was the whole point of me when I made my EP. Stop making excuses. There's just no excuses. If you gotta stay up late, stay up late. If you gotta wake up early, wake up early. If you gotta, I took my computer to work. I for a little while I was making a little melodies on my lunch break, take them home, and then try to finish them when I got off work, type stuff. Like just never let there be an excuse to a reason why my music isn't up to par. So I'll eventually get there, and eventually these connections. I'm assuming this is gonna be my year. The way that things are looking, this is probably gonna be my year. At least get my first big placement. Working with just a lot more artists locally, things like that. There's a lot of artists in the RBG community that I really like looked up to, so hopefully I'll connect with them eventually. Straight up.
You're already connected. You understand? You're already connected.
Most does.
So yeah, this work that you're doing, You're barely scratching the surface on your unlimited potential. So I think it's amazing that you have the hunger, the desire, the will, and the willingness to be able to go leaps and bounds. And I heard you just say that it's the most talking you've done. This gonna be the least. This is gonna be the least. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of these hermit spaces that come along with producing. You in the cave and you doing what you need to do. You producing. You see what I'm saying? But if people don't know about it or know about you, where they gonna come get that heat? So you out and about with the same output that you produce. This is how you become a household name for whatever aspect it is. You have to be, visible in
Straight up.
order to, your services to be utilized. And you can repurpose everything you do. I know you got the hip hop realm. They're using hip hop to sell everything. So ScoreYee, ScoreYee can be scoring films, scoring television shows, scoring video games. You understand what I'm saying? So not just in the space where you're thinking about this thing one dimensionally, they need music everywhere.
Yeah,
Music
that's so true.
moves all things. So even in the crossover genres, there's no cap, no limit to what you can produce because you produce. You see what I'm saying? So if you make these type beats, you can make these things work everywhere. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
Somebody could, they got the reels and the carousels and all of this stuff now, and everybody needs music. They need music for everything that they do because it animates it on top of the animation. So it adds another layer of mystique or distinguishability or, one of these things that's set apart. So
Emotion, all that.
providing the
Yeah, yeah.
soundtrack, you providing the soundtrack. That's what Nasu was saying yesterday. If this is your way of life, quote unquote, what's the soundtrack? If you were an African liberator, where's your African liberation soundtrack? That's what excluded a bunch of people off of my playlist. I'm an African liberator. So what's there in accordance to what am I listening to and drawing strength from and inspiration to continue on this path for African liberation? You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like I can like certain people, certain artists, but they're not there. That's not their stance. That's not their move. You see what I'm saying? So in regards to how I'm living, the evidence is in readily what I consume, readily in what I support, readily in what I champion. You see what I'm saying? So all of these things require some sort of attractor, and music is attractant. Queen Mother was talking about arousing the spirit last night.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Who's arousing your spirit, and how is it being aroused? So if music can break through all of these barriers, no matter what you got going on, who's arousing your spirit? The one who laid out the soundtrack. So the possibilities for you are endless. And if you think from that endless, boundless, universal space, that's your mind, right? And then that determined space that's endless, that's your will. What are you bringing into existence? What can you bring into existence? Everything. Understand?
Hmm.
Everything. You know,
Oh yeah.
so it's what it is. And I'm proud of you, and I'm excited for you and for the music group to be doing what they're doing. Okay,
Appreciate
waging
that.
war for the minds and the hearts of our future. So you got a final word. You got some final thoughts. You got some jewels for us to extrapolate. Okay.
So I mean, I want to thank everybody who did spend time watching this. Of course, getting to know me as a person, you know, as an artist, as a producer, as a father. You know, just when I first started this out, I didn't even know what a chord was. I barely knew that notes together make a chord, you know. And I feel like I again have done my true work and learning music and music theory, at least without picking up a physical instrument. I have even done that and taking lessons in that just to take this beyond, and I still plan on doing it, you know. So I think that anybody that's taking the time to listen to me today should know that I'm about my business. You know, I'm gonna produce nothing but great quality work. Would love to work with y'all. Y'all can find me at ScoreYee, really on almost any platform outside of Facebook, but you can find me on like IG, spelled the same way, ScoreYee. You can find me on TikTok, find me on SoundCloud, and I have been producing and uploading beats on SoundCloud and YouTube recently, just because I got into the type beat movement in space. But overall, I'm about to be in a lot more platforms soon, so like it's just not stopping. Like I think a lot of people thought I was gonna give up for real and making music, and I'm happy to still be here. And it's like I feel like I'm still at the bottom of a chart and I'm ready to take off. Like there's so much more for me to learn, so much for me to figure out, so much more for me to tap into. And just like you said, there's, you know, when you put your mind in a space out here with a lot more open mind, there's a lot more opportunities, a lot more endeavors I could take on. You know, this is just the beginning. It's been a pleasure though.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the phenomenal mastermind, ScoreYee, aka ScoreYeezus, in the building. So we out, y'all.
All right.
Peace.
Walk through it like rich homie, been in long enough and big homie. Pops on me, laws got stick on me. Pops on me, but I was not here story. Ain't no mission too impossible. With my mind on the water, bonding powerful. Even got know this ain't no game on my Kobe, no holding me. My money not even a motive. Freedom, my motive will spin out, I woke up. That shit kills, I'm natural emotion. Thought I need a potion, creation in front of me unfolded. Not trying to stunt this time, still growing. We need these, get a horse to that water, and that water be flowing. Don't fall for the weak, they be slowing us. Ain't got to worry about conflict. I'll move in line with my conscience. Outcome always positive. All this masculinity, I'm cocky. Ain't got to worry about conflict. I'll move in line with my conscience. Outcome always positive. Negative all my opposites. I ain't got to worry about conflict. I'll move in line with my conscience. Outcome always positive. I've spoken to my Khalid Muhammad. I ain't got to worry about conflict. I'll move in line with my conscience. Outcome always positive. How you blame me? I'm confident. Khalid is gone, I'm never gonna be alright. They my heroes, we hold on tight. Disrespect now when it's funk on side. It's really on two ties, get it solid and you break. Really you fake, only one type got what it take. Went through some savage times for my sake. Survival skills I can mentally escape. Confident I'ma be great, move too fast, can't keep on my pace. I read people like a page, and I'm good at it personal. Seeing so real is digital, see every angle is pivotal. They want promise, I'ma give it to them, dropping jewels like minerals. I got tools like tuna, one world, no excuses, save the wild like two of us. I'm not the one that sleep on those, motivation overdose. I don't bully, I bulldoze. If it ain't black, I don't condone. Wanna make it known, only room for Africans. Tricks is bad, think I'm the devil's kid. Gift the gab and I gibberish. Are you a G? That's a check. In my jeans, there's no gas. Not seeing the favors when it's most needed. See how I change when I get the win. I ain't gotta worry about conflict. I'm moving lime on my conscience. Outcome always positive. All this masculinity, I'm toxic. Ain't gotta worry about conflict. I'm moving line with my conscience. Outcome always positive. All this masculinity, I'm cocky. Ain't gotta worry about conflict. I'm moving line with my conscience. Outcome always positive. Negative all my opposites. I ain't gotta worry about conflict. I'm moving line with my conscience. Outcome always positive. I've spoken to my Khalid Muhammad. I ain't gotta worry about conflict. I'm moving line with my conscience. Outcome always positive. How you blame me? I'm confident.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them that in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? So no more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get
And
back
that
to the
motive
gritty
is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.